was appointed by the former US President Donald Trump, but came under fire over his views on climate change, even being accused a climate change denier. Well, we're joined now by Mike Ingram, who's a senior strategist at ActivTrades. Mike, it's always been a bit controversial, his appointment and also his tenure. Why is that?
Well, we've got to realise that at the end of the day, the president of the World Bank is a political appointment. It's a bit of a carve-up because historically the president of the World Bank's been appointed essentially by US administration, while the head of the IMF, their sister organisation, tends to go to a European. So it was very clear that when Joe Biden became president, that they probably didn't really want these sort of political holdovers like David Malpass in position. So, I mean, initially it went a bit quiet in 2021, for instance. And you talk about climate denialism. The World Bank actually came out with a climate change action plan and earmarking $100 billion for that. But more recently, from autumn of last year, some of the environmentalists, Gore has been quite vocal that the World Bank wasn't doing enough under David Malpass' leadership. And it seems to me that it's just all become too much. So David Malpass, as you said, is throwing in the towel a year early.
Now, every appointment has been American to date in terms of the head of the World Bank. I mean, what kind of direction do you think a new boss will take relative to what David's done? Because he has made some progress when it comes to climate change funding.
Well, indeed. Well, I think it's fairly clear that it will almost certainly be another US led appointment. They are, after all, the US is the largest shareholder, after all. And, of course, the Biden administration would like to burnish its environmental credentials, particularly after the Trump administration. So I think what we'll see is another US appointment. We'll see somebody, I think, probably who's a lot more activist, at least vocally, in terms of environmentalism. What's going to be interesting, of course, is the World Bank's mission is to relieve, poverty and hunger, and industrialization is often very much part of that program. But of course, quite often there's a carbon footprint attached to that. So quite how this is balanced out, remains to be seen. We have to remember at the end of the day that countries such as China now produce twice as much greenhouse as the United States, and they have significant carve-outs under existing anti-pollution net zero legislation, but increasingly people are saying, well, should they be let off the hook, particularly when we're seeing rising energy costs in Europe and elsewhere? Yes,
they've got that to consider, and considerably other challenges, or the cost of living crisis. Thank you very much, Mike. Mike Ingram there.